Yep. Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. I was talking to Juice. He was telling me how these bright lights made him nervous up here just a minute ago, and I told him that I had to come in here and take these tough questions for 30 minutes, and he has a newfound level of respect for me, I think, from that win as well. But big challenge this week going up to Nashville. Team, you look at the schedule they've played. They've played Ole Miss, they've played Alabama, and they've played Georgia. So three of the, I don't even know where everybody's ranked right now, but I know three of the top nationally ranked teams in this conference they've already faced. They with a minute to go in the first half, Vanderbilt's beating Ole Miss 20-10. They were up 13-3 at one point, and then last week or 2 weeks ago against Missouri, they're down 17-0 to Missouri and come back and had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win it. So it's a team that's very, very, very capable. They've got some really, really impressive and talented players. It's a mix of super seniors and true freshmen that they're playing up there. I think Clark has done a phenomenal job with his football team. They're recruiting to a certain skill set, size that they've identified, and you can see it. I mean, they're playing really, really, really hard. They're really, really well coached. They present a lot of challenges in all three phases. They've had a week off to get ready for this game as well, and certainly present problems, like I said, offensively, defensively, and on special teams. So it'll be a challenge for us going on the road again. And like I said, I got tons of respect for the job they're doing up there and how they continue to move that program forward and get better each and every week. Injury-wise with us, it's November 1st, and we play in the SEC, so there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises this time of year after 8 games, and that's what we have. And no one that we'd sit here today and say is definitely out, but certainly got some guys that are questionable. Terrell Dawkins practiced today and gets closer and closer to being able to play, and hopefully we can stay healthy here as we go through the rest of the week into Saturday and what should be a fun environment up in Nashville on Saturday night. So, questions?
Shane, a few of the players were in here and we're talking about how Missouri, especially as the game went on, seemed to know what you guys were going to run, like raising their hands and you guys were going to call a pass play. After watching the film, have you guys seen what they were seeing, what they were reading from the offense?
No. After every game, we self-scout, David. When we play opponents that we don't play again, we usually try and connect with those coaches, see what you had on us, what we had on you, non-conference teams, things like that. So we've done that often. We dove into a self-scout during the off week and saw some tendencies that we had. Some of the communication that we had with some coaches from some other schools, alerted us to some tendencies also, which we are no different than any other team. I mean, we've got tendencies that we're going to attack with Vanderbilt this week. There were tendencies that we tried to attack with Missouri, run pass, and every team, has those tendencies. Certainly a couple of them were, a little concerning. I think there was a 3rd and 2 that we had, and we were in a bunch set, which they were signaling pass. There's some things that, like I said, we've tried to combat the last couple weeks. Nothing that really jumps out at us from that game. And I also think, you try and change communication up and things like that, but these players aren't dumb. If they're hearing certain things coming out of the, quarterback's mouth, they may anticipate it being a pass and stuff like that. But nothing that's glaring, but something that we're always looking at as a staff in all three phases, trying to break tendencies just like every other school is in the country.
Hey, Shane, it seemed like Spencer was under pressure a lot on Saturday against Missouri. How do you guys schematically maybe go about changing some of that and getting the ball out of his hand quicker, maybe rolling him out some?
We got to certainly look at moving him out of the pocket and changing his launch point, and I said it all week, and I don't think anybody believes me. Still, that's a really disruptive defense that we just played. There's a reason they're top 4 in the SEC in total defense. They're disruptive at all positions. So sometimes you're going to get beat, and we've got a really good offensive line, and sometimes you're out there one-on-one against a really talented defensive end or defensive tackle or linebacker or whoever it is, and the other team's gonna win. So we've got to win our share of battles, but certainly we've got to continue to help Spencer with protection and moving the pocket, and that's every week, Colin. That's not just last week. I mean, I knew going into the game Missouri was gonna be disruptive and was going to make some plays against our offense and get us, unfortunately, in some negative yardage situations. And it happened too much. But you give Missouri credit, but you also look at being able to do things, running the ball, moving the pocket. We got the ball out of his hands quick. I mean, all those perimeter things were either screens or RPOs the other night, and that's how you get the ball out of his hands quick as well.
Shane, as far as what you said about you connect with other coaching staffs about what they had on you, what you had on them, what percentage of times or how often do other staffs not want to cooperate with you guys on that?
Usually I'm not reaching out to them, Gene, unless I know they're probably going to want to cooperate with me, if that makes sense. I mean, to me, and this goes all the way back to when I was a graduate assistant at Tennessee back in 2001 working for John Chavis. I mean, on Mondays or Sundays after a game, me, the GA, or the defensive coaches would be on the phone with the coaches from other schools that we just played, or, we're calling another SEC school to find out about an SEC school that they just played. I mean, I used to joke that there should have just been like a conference call with defensive coaches in the SEC back in the early 2000s every Monday morning, because we were all talking to each other anyway. So that's always been ongoing, but I'd say most of the time. I mean, it's typically a non-conference team that is not on your schedule anytime soon, i.e. Charlotte. I don't think we're playing Charlotte anytime soon, but after that game, being able to talk with some of their coaches or Georgia State, don't play them anytime soon, I don't think, talking to them at the beginning of the season. And then, you play teams in the SEC, but you have teams that, whether we talk to Arkansas or not, it's potential to talk to an Arkansas when you don't play them again for a while, down the road. So I think most coaches are open to it. And a lot of times that may be a conversation I have with the head coach before the game on the field is, hey, we don't play each other again. We'd love to get our staffs together and talk tomorrow if that's something you're interested in doing. And they want the same information that we do.
So you play Mizzou every year, and you did it. Did you exchange any information with the Clemson staff going into bowl season last year?
No. I'm trying to think. Oh, because we played North Carolina, you mean? Or because No. Not that I would have, but I don't think Clemson even played North Carolina last year. I guess they played them. They played them in Chapel Hill a few years ago. I remember a really close game up in Chapel Hill a few years ago. But no, I probably should have reached out to them. I mean, I've known Brandon Streeter for a long time. I think Brandon's a good guy. Dabo's a good guy. I don't know if they would have wanted to help us or not, but we didn't. I would tell you if we did. We didn't, and I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. So shame on me.
I guess loosely on that topic, with the sideline stuff that y'all were doing on Saturday and have done in the past, obviously, do you feel like Missouri had a good kind of counter for when y'all show a look or have something going, then look over and maybe adjust to what they were showing? Was there a chess match going on that way?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think sometimes it's such a cat and mouse game. It really is. I mean, teams that look to the sideline, let's put our defense on the field, and an offense looks to the sideline. Sometimes we may change it. Sometimes we act like we're changing and then we don't change it. Sometimes we don't do anything and we don't change it, and it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes Spencer may look to the sideline and we change it, or Sat says run what we have called. Or a lot of times, I think sometimes defenses will potentially, if you're checking as an offense, they've got maybe a basic check that they go to. Okay, they're in a man coverage look, and now they're going to jump into a two-deep zone type thing, and you try and anticipate those things as well. So, no, I wouldn't. Not once did I think, okay, we're checking to something, and they're checking and messing with what we have called. But you always got to be smart about doing that and just being able to mix it up also.
Hey, we heard from a few players today that there may be lower energy Saturday. Antoine Wells said that. Eric Douglas did. Devontae Reed talked about frustration setting in. How do you guard against that as a coach in the middle of a game like that and going into another tough road game here?
Just go right back to work.
Shane, a week from today, Election Day, just wanted to get your thoughts on whether you kind of encourage the guys to go vote as a team. Do you let it be their responsibility if they want, like most other people here in America? How do you handle that?
Yeah, we certainly something that we want to encourage our guys to do for sure. I know last year we actually had a speaker come in, I think on that Sunday or Monday beforehand. We had a speaker come in just to talk about the election and voting rights and all that as well around November. And then this year I know we have I know the football team does. I'm not sure if it's a athletic department wide Zoom or meeting that they're going to be on Monday night about that as well. So certainly want them to communicate, or want to communicate with them and want them to be have the opportunity to go do that as well. It's certainly very important.
Shane, you mentioned you haven't talked about changing play colors, but from an offensive standpoint, outside of that, what can y'all do outside of that and maybe sustaining drives to really get this thing clicking the way you guys hope it would?
Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, I know I got asked that the other night too, and let me say this too: if I felt like changing the role of a coach on our staff, offense, defense, or special teams, was the right thing to do right now, I would. To me, those are things that you look at the end of the season every year, last year included. And right now, the best thing for us is to go win football games here down the stretch, trying to win one this week against a good Vanderbilt team. And the thing that gives us the best chance to be successful is to continue to try and get better at where we are, right now. And you look at the big picture and whatnot, and that's kind of how I see things. We've got to coach better. We got to play better. We got to. It's a combination. I mean, as bad as it looked the other night, and I get it. It was bad. I see a lot of plays out there to be made as well. And every week you look back at why we didn't get that done in that situation, and that starts with me. And we've got to be better and continue to look at how we're teaching and giving our guys the best opportunity to make plays during the game and be successful.
Yeah, Shane, kind of going off that, how do you evaluate the job that Marcus has done? I mean, obviously, you hear it. The fans aren't super happy, but how do you week in, week out sort of evaluate his role specifically?
Yeah, when you're in this profession, to me, when things aren't going well, it's the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback that get the blame, and that's just part of it and what you sign up for. Sad will tell you. I mean, he certainly. We all feel like we could be better. I could have been better, Clayton, Pete, and Sat would tell you the same as well. Each week is different. We haven't been good enough. I mean, I recognize that, but I understand what we're doing each week from a game plan standpoint. I understand what's being called during the games. I sit in on the meeting with the quarterbacks pretty much every day. During the week as well, understanding what they're being taught and coached and told as well. So there's no miscommunication from that standpoint. So he's, each week is a different week, and we've done some really good things, on offense this year. And we've got to, that's behind us, and now we're, moving into November now and got to continue to be even better.
Yeah, Coach, just looking at, obviously, what's waiting in those last couple games on the schedule and talking to the players, they don't seem to put any extra influence on the fact that these games are the best opportunity statistically just to get that bowl-eligible mark that everyone wants. Is that the message from y'all, not to put any extra pressure on that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, every game is going to be tough. I know it's easy for people to say, okay, well, you look at the next two opponents, and then you got these two after that. I mean, it's week to week. I know it's cliche, but it really is. And in our team meeting this morning, I didn't even bring up the bowl game or getting bowl eligible. Everything this week is just a total commitment to doing everything in our power to prepare this week to go play our very best in Nashville on Saturday night, and talking about how we do that in all three phases and what it's going to take, and not thinking so much about the results, but just the process of how we got to get to that. But I know we have a chance to continue to progress and be a really, really good football team. We've shown that in spurts this year, and we've just got to put all three phases together and do it more consistently than what we did the other night.
Shane, would you like to see Spencer Rattler run a little more? And if not, would you like to see a few more occasional packages, including one of your quarterbacks that is more of a running threat?
Are you talking about Luke or are you talking about DK? Or any of them?
Either one, whoever you think's the best running threat.
Okay. I mean, we've used Juju as like a wildcat quarterback. We got a lot of guys. I think Spencer is a better athlete, Gene, than people give him credit for. So certainly want to see him run. He did that some the other night. I mean, he had that play that he scrambled and I think got us the first down kind of going in the score over there towards our student section. And then he obviously ran on the play that he fumbled on in that game as well. But, yeah, I mean, I trust him when he when he runs the football because he can run and he can make some people miss and he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. But also as your quarterback, you don't want to see your quarterback taking a lot of unnecessary hits either. So some of them, certainly some runs that he's had have been scrambles. He's had some runs this year that are, either zone read and he kept it or quarterback draw or whatever it may be. There's different things that each week you try and give your team the best chance to be successful. But then also, I believe anytime you're able to, Vandy does a great job of it. They got two quarterbacks that we're preparing for this week. And when you have the threat of a different guy at quarterback that can run the football, it's a challenge. And I know that from a defensive standpoint. But if you got other guys at quarterback in your run game, that means, Marshawn Lloyd's or Juju or CBS or whoever's not getting the ball too. But each week's different. But, yeah, I got no problem with Spencer running it. And if it's there. And then also you're always trying to find ways to generate yards and present challenges for the opposing defense.
Shane, Jaheim was saying that some of the reason he hasn't been on the field as much has been personnel and kind of what you guys are doing. I guess just to clarify, what does that kind of mean on your guys' end as far as it's a quote-unquote personnel thing, I guess? What does that kind of mean in terms of why he maybe isn't getting as many on the field as much?
To me, it's and I'll say this: Jaheim needs to be on the field more than what he was the other night. I met with Jaheim on Sunday. We had a great 30-minute conversation downstairs, and I told him that, and that's on me. I'm the head coach. So he absolutely needs to be on the field more than he has. And I don't mean this in like a condescending way, but when you talk about personnel, we have 5 offensive linemen that are on the field on every single play. We have a quarterback that's on the field on every single play. And then we have, I'm assuming we all want Marshawn Lloyd on the field. I do. So what is that? That's 7 players. Well, now you play every play on offense with 11 guys. That's who you can have on the field. So that leaves 4 guys. All right, great. Jaheim and Stogg and Juice and Van. Okay. Well, then people want to know why Juju's not out there. Why is DeCarrion not out there? Why is Xavier Leggett not out there? Why is Jalen Brooks not out there? Okay, well, let's go Jaheim and AB, Van, and Wells. Well, wait a minute. Why is Brooks not out there? Why is Stogg not out there? So I mean that, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. It's just we got a lot of guys that when we're game planning each and every week, you look at the other team's defense and say, okay, if we're in 10 personnel, meaning 1 running back and 4 receivers, here's the coverages that we anticipate. If we're in the defenses we anticipate. If we're in 12 personnel, 1 running back and 2 tight ends with 2 receivers, here's what we expect from the defense. If we're in 11, the other night we did some 20, or excuse me, we did some 13, meaning 1 running back, and we had 3 tight ends on the field at one time, Jaheim being one of them. Here's what we expect in that. So you're trying to formulate your game plan. Okay, if we're in 10, 11, 12, whatever, here's what you can expect. And then you put plays in and calls to be able to take advantage of that from a schematic standpoint, if that makes sense. Having said that, we want to get our best players on the field. And sometimes you just say, forget what personnel grouping it is and what coverage you're expecting. We need to get this guy on the field and get them the ball. And we do that every week. We haven't done a good enough job of it. I'll admit that. And it starts with we've got to do a better job of sustaining drives, staying on the field, not being down 17-0 after 11 offensive plays like we were the other night. And not that, I think I said it Sunday night, it's not like we threw the game plan out after going down 17-0, but you're not able to get back to everything that you maybe had planned to get to. So, that's what it means. We got a lot of guys that we're trying to get the ball to. We have different things that we're calling personnel-wise to get the right people on the field to try and get the coverage or the defense that we want to try and be able to take advantage of it. And but then also, it's the old saying, it's players, not plays. And regardless of what a defense is going to give you, let's get so-and-so on the field and get him his touches and get Marshawn his touches and Jaheim and Juice and on and on and on. Sorry for the 3-minute answer to a simple question.
Hey, good. A bunch of the players in here earlier were just talking about execution kind of being what they feel like is missing for you guys right now. As you get into this kind of back half of the season, what can you do at this point to fix those little execution things, and what does that look like translated to game day?
Yeah, no, that's frustrating because that was the thing from the other night, Emily, is there's just a lot of plays that we had called that we didn't get executed like we did in practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, and that was the frustrating thing about the other night, some things that we were just a little off, for whatever reason. And again, that starts with me, but whether it be something that happened the first time they punted that we didn't get adjusted to, that we had literally, in the walkthrough that morning talked about this may happen, and when it happens, here's what we want to do. We didn't get that done, or a check on defense, or some calls that Clayton had for certain plays that we had those calls called against the play that we wanted it to be called against, and we didn't get the job done. And then offensively, whether it be something in the run game or something in the pass game that we didn't execute like. It wasn't like the first time we saw it. We did it in practice. And you go back to coaching, and where was the disconnect between taking it from the practice field to the game field? Because there was some the other night. So you look back at, again, how you're teaching it and making sure you're repping it enough in practice during the week versus different looks. So it just is second nature. And we're not doing too much offensively. I mean, if you watch this, we're running a lot of the same stuff, pass game and run game over and over again. You give the other team credit, but it's something that we certainly need to continue to look at why we just didn't execute as well as we needed to the other night.
I hesitate to ask this after you addressing the Jaheim Bell not getting more touches and why every guy can't get more touches, whatever. But with like Marshawn and CBS being banged up throughout the season, any of those other younger running backs, Amos, Carroll, gotten more opportunities in practice when those guys have not been able to play?
Yeah, they have to. Those two and Dante Miller for sure. I mean, Dante, he had the touchdown against South Carolina State or Charlotte. They got called back. Dante's a talented back, but yeah. One, even if they were healthy, just trying – the running back, as you know, is just a physical position that takes a pounding during the season. So just trying to keep our backs fresh so those guys are getting reps. And then also when you got guys like Marshawn and CBS that are banged up, that's going to get those other running backs more and more reps. And those guys are continuing to get better and doing some good things right now for us, those other running backs on offense and some of the stuff they're doing on special teams also.
Shane, it seemed like you guys had really good pass rush days against Kentucky and Texas A&M, and it seemed like Missouri was trying to get the ball out quickly to avoid that. Vanderbilt's probably going to do the same thing. How do you combat that, and how big of a challenge is that to try and affect the quarterback when the ball's out so quick?
No, it's a challenge. Missouri did a good job of getting the ball out quick, running the ball, and then moving the pocket, a little bit as well. And one of the movement throws was the same play that I talked about it in the press conference, but Tennessee scored on us against last year in Arkansas and tried it against us, and that was kind of moving the quarterback out of the pocket and then throwing verticals back across the field. And they wanted to protect the quarterback for sure. He took some hits against Vanderbilt, meaning Missouri's quarterback the week before, and they wanted to do that going into it. And that's kind of the way, Vandy plays in a lot of ways as well. They do a great job of throwing RPOs, and the receiver 14, Shepard. I mean, he's the second most touchdowns in the SEC this year, and the third leading receiver, if I'm not mistaken, in catches. They get the ball to him in a lot of ways, and a lot of them are just RPOs where he's going to he either hands it off or he just takes it and throws one-on-one out there to the field. They did that against Alabama and Ole Miss a few times, one-on-one, and he won. And then they move the pocket and then they present some challenges in some run game stuff. So you gotta force them into passing situations for sure, and then you've just got to continue to find ways to, affect the quarterback, and that means hopefully hitting him. But we've done a good job too defensively this year of, when we know we're not going to get to the quarterback, getting our hands up and having a chance to bat a ball as well when the quarterback throws it. We've done a really good job of that the last few games, and that's something that, okay, you don't hit him, but you can still affect that throw by using our length up front as well. Nothing, John? Wow. Thought you'd have them ready for me. Yeah, no, I've screwed that up.
Jade, on the, I guess, other teams knowing what play might be coming, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you guys had a different kind of card to block signals the other night. Is that right? Did I have that right?
Yeah, a lot of that is more just for our guys to be able to see where the signaler is coming from as well. Also, so a lot of it, the stuff that we put up is just so they can see it, and there's our signalers on the sideline as well. But you're always trying to mix up one, who's signaling, where it's not the same guy every time. You're always trying to mix up, okay, if you are doing something off a wristband, they don't match whatever number you give for the wristband, and say, okay, last time it was 42, it was a handoff to Marshawn Lloyd, and here comes. You try and mix that up also. So you always try and stay one step ahead, because you always try and stay one step ahead.
And then just real quickly, Corey Rucker, he's done for the season.
Yes,
yeah.
having surgery today.
Okay.
And we'll be done, and hopefully we'll get him back hopefully he'll be ready to roll for spring practice. Yep. Good. All right. See y'all in Nashville.